The Maw. Very spooky place, isn't it? But what is it, and what's the point of the Maw here in Shadowlands? Well, the Maw is gonna be our endgame zone. It's essentially the hell portion of Shadowlands. It's the home of the jailer, and in many ways, it feels like it's part of Torghast, our big new feature, which, by the way, massive guide is out for you to know all there is to know about Torghast. So first, before we start, how do we even get to the Maw? Well, you're gonna visit the Maw quite a few times through your adventures. It is the first place you visit when you land in the Shadowlands, and periodically while leveling, much like the Broken Shore. But at max level, as part of your Covenant intro quests that we discussed a bunch in the past videos, you will return here, and with Venari, one of the very few friendly NPCs found in the Maw, will guide you to many activities. Getting to the Maw in the first place, it's simply awesome, having you jump down this massive soul stream in the center of our capital, Orbos, which never gets old for me. The Maw, again, is essentially hell, if that wasn't given due to the way we reach here, so it's supposed to be a very dangerous place, and in some ways that is true. You're not gonna find NPCs and camps and fly paths, things along those lines. The Venari Cave is the only safe place in the Maw, the little Venari zone. It's quite a sandboxy zone with basically just enemies to kill, and the other unique thing, I don't know exactly how to call it, I guess limitation, is that you cannot mount in the Maw. Yeah, I know, with some exceptions that we're gonna go over later on. Walking is mostly all you can do. The other limitation is the Eye of the Jailer mechanic, limiting how much time you can spend in a Maw, the main way to make this zone, quote, dangerous. More on that later. So, in essence, it's a densely packed zone filled with enemies, some dangerous elites, marked on your minimap as special encounters as bonus objectives, rares, some events, and a couple of daily and weekly quests. So first of all, what's the goal here? What's the point? Well, if you watched my big Covenant guide, you will remember one of the main reasons to go to the Maw, at least on a weekly basis, is to gather souls to your Covenant. This is part of your 2 Renown weekly quests, and Renown is your main player power-based progression of Shadowlands. Not time-consuming at all, like say Azerite Power, and that quest literally has you clicking souls around the Maw to gather them to bring them back to your Covenant. There's plenty, and they are clearly pinpointed on your minimap. Super simple. Okay, so I'm getting Renown here. Essentially, what else can I do? Well, one aspect that I do need to profess is that the Maw, like many aspects of Shadowlands, is partially optional. And what I mean by that is that it's as optional as, say, the 8.3 assault events. With the assaults, you had the weeklies bars to fill, right? Getting tons of coalescing visions. After that main weekly, you could decide to come back daily the next days and do the dailies and do the rares and so on, but wasn't a massive gain. But you could do it if you wanted to for a slight edge. The Maw is very much like that. At every reset, you will get the Souls Renown quest from your Covenant, which is quote-unquote mandatory. Along with it, you will also get 2 other weekly quests from Venari, rewarding tons of Stygia, the Maw-specific resource currency, and a big reputation gain towards Venari. Weeklies and dailies can be found in the Maw because even though it's a pseudo sandboxy zone, these quests will guide you through it in a way, found at various spots around the Maw map, all clearly pointed. So again, you may choose to do the Maw weekly by doing the Souls quests, the weekly quests, and the dailies, and the rares, and so on, and be done with it for the week, or come back the other days or every other day to maximize the said Stygia and reputation gains. How you do that? Well, you're not gonna have as much content, so you're just gonna do the 2 or 3 daily quests that pop around the zone, simply going around killing rares or elites. Take in mind, some rares and elites in the Maw may require a group. They can be tough. Maybe those small little events to gather Stygia, basically, Stygia showers kind of how they look, where you just stand on them and you get Stygia, and the Wrath of the Jailer zone-wide event that randomly pops around the zone, having you fill the bar by killing enemies inside of this area, that once filled, a big elite boss is gonna spawn for you to kill with a group of people, netting you a big chunk of Stygia and reputation towards Venari as well. Overall, the Maw is quite flexible in how you approach it, at least depending on what type of player you are. More on that in a second. With that said, there are two things you need to progress in the Maw then: reputation with Venari and gathering Stygia, along with souls, but that's related to your covenant. Stygia will come from almost anything in a Maw: the dailies, the weeklies primarily, the events like the Wrath of the Jailer event or the showers that I just mentioned, rares, the special encounters, meaning the elites you find, and how much Stygia you get is there on the screen for you. But Stygia has a slight twist. If you die, you're gonna lose a portion of them, about 20%. Dying in a Maw simply respawns you. There's no corpse running here, and so you have to run back to your corpse to retrieve your souls / Stygia. So very Souls-like game-esque, which is kinda cool. Dying is less nice here than the other zones found in WoW and found in the Shadowlands. So you have to be slightly more careful, but it's not super punishing, don't worry about that. But what can you do with Stygia? It allows you to buy various items locked behind certain reputation levels with Venari. It's a weeks and weeks long process, by the way. These items will range from upgrades to your Torghast runs that we covered in the Torghast video. You're gonna get tons of Stygia, so feel free to buy them, and some other consumables when available to you. You may also purchase upgrades to the Maw Zone itself, ranging from teleporters, a Hearthstone, essentially to teleport back to the Venari cave. I would advise to always have these at all times for when you find yourself in a pickle or when you are all done and want to come back to a safe area and quickly deliver the weeklies and dailies and stuff like that. There are also other upgrades unlocking extra ways to move around the Maw, like being able to use grapples at various points in the zone to help with the verticality and the fact that you cannot mount, and some rift stones and teleporters to reach certain areas quicker. All reasonably cheap and can be unlocked maybe 2 to 3 weeks into doing the Maw, maybe some even after a week of doing the Maw. Again, depending how you choose to approach it. I would advise as well to get these the moment they are available. They help a ton with the no mount debacle. Another big advice is to abuse the temporary mounts found here. This is unrelated to the vendor, but you do need to know this. On the roads, you're gonna find these outriders, mobs, riding bears. If you kill them, you may mount their mount temporarily, making your time in the Maw much less frustrating, especially when you're moving from a daily to daily or weekly to weekly area. Other ways to traverse the Maw outside of the tools that the game provides you here in the zone, of course you're gonna have some which are limiting to certain specs, like druids have it pretty good with travel form, but of course you can use potions as well, like Lightfoot potions to increase your movement speed. Goblin gliders is obviously always a great choice. There's some pretty high peaks in the Maw, so you can use that to traverse the zone pretty quick as well. So if you want to be a little bit faster in doing the Maw, make sure to have some of those clothes. But also more interestingly is that Worgen, at least still, they might nerf this, Worgen can freely mount in the zone due to their racial abilities, so that's a huge advantage to being a Worgen. So yeah, I think it's time to raise change. Moving away from that, we also have some upgrades to help you deal with the Eye of the Jailer mechanic in the Maw. We'll go over that in a second. And the other big items you may purchase from Venari with Stygia is gem slots and a random conduit token to give you a random conduit upgrade for your soulbinds. A video on that is up if you do need to know what the hell is soulbinds and conduits and all of that, along with a crafting upgrade item for your crafting profession. So this is where player power gains come from Stygia and the Maw. These, the gem slots and the conduit tokens, are really expensive, and they also require you to be at max reputation with Venari, which is gonna take you many weeks to get to, even if you're doing it every day. So this is what I meant by depending on what type of player you are, you will approach the Maw differently. Do you care about about having all of your gears gem slotted, well, 4 slots, or not. That's up to you, and in turn will change how you see the Maw. As a grindfest that you're probably gonna hate yourself for doing every day, or simply a place you visit weekly or every once in a while to progress some of the Venari reputation, kill some rares, maybe do some achievements, maybe work towards that Torghast upgrade or that Maw upgrade you want, and so on. As for getting reputation with Venari, well, reputation farm goes hand in hand with Stygia farm. What rewards Stygia often rewards rep as well with all of the quests and rares and elites and so on. Though some rare items may also drop from some elites and rares, so you simply turn this in as a quest to Venari and get some extra reputation. So like Stygia, if you want that rep quick, come here every day, do all of the dailies and kill as many rares as possible, but remember, like Stygia, you're gonna get the most reputation from those weekly quests and the dailies, but mostly from the weeklies. Now, there are still 2 main topics to talk about the Maw. One is that the Maw is time gated, and the other is that the Maw has certain areas soft locked through debuffs, so you do need to progress in the zone to fully unlock it, a bit like Visions. The Perdition Holds and the Beastwarren areas have really nasty debuffs the first time you go there, that are only removed once you reach a certain amount of reputation with Venari to unlock a quest to bypass those debuffs, much like the many upgrades you're gonna purchase. Okay, so don't be confused that if you wander around to Perdition Hold or the Beastwarrens, that you just obliterate it, right? You just cannot do anything there. You're not supposed to be there. That is something that is going to unlock later on. But first, the time gating. The Maw has a unique mechanic called the Eye of the Jailer that we mentioned twice. Essentially, it's a GTA wanted level with 5 levels. The more stuff you do in the Maw, like doing the weeklies, doing the dailies, killing rares, getting Stygia, all will feel the Eye of the Jailer appear in this interface. The weekly quests will by far feel the most, essentially goes up a level every time you do one, and it feels the minute you complete it, not when you deliver the quest. So don't expect to only deliver when you're about to cap the eye to maximize that, though I imagine you can leave a weekly quest very close to the cap if you really want to min-max everything. After the weeklies, the dailies will feel it the most, and then the rares. The Wrath of the Jailer event also feels it by quite a lot, so here I would definitely advise to leave that for the last possible minute on your eye bar in your Eye of the Jailer level, absolutely near the cap to maximize your efforts, because if you do that early, you're just gonna feel it unnecessarily and you just, not gonna be able to do that much more in the Maw. Now, this mechanic is essentially preventing you from being in the Maw all day, every day, farming that rep and Stygia to be able to say, buy the gem slots in the first week or something like that. So a fresh weekly reset, you're gonna feel it pretty quick due to the weeklies. But on all the other days, it will be pretty slow with just 2 or 3 dailies and just killing rares / elites, right? Maybe the event will take a little while and you're not gonna progress as much. Each level then has a negative effect. At level 1, you get a new enemy type, the Soul Seekers. They are otherwise neutral before level 1, you see them around, and they are pretty easy to kill. They simply have a nasty channel attack you need to CC or interrupt, and may aggro enemies nearby with this big AoE ability. Level 2, you get a tower attack, where at random, you're gonna get a swirly under your feet, and you move away. That's simple. If you don't, you're gonna take heavy damage and you're gonna be movement impaired, so you have to cut some chains off. At level 3, you're gonna get Assassins, the Jailer's Assassins, where at random intervals you get this debuff saying an assassin is gonna spawn next time you go into combat. They are pretty easy to deal with, but they have a nasty debuff that continuously deals damage and stacks. But an upgrade from Venari makes you completely immune, so get that when you can. Otherwise, just be careful when you're pulling when the assassin debuff is up. Say, don't go kill a rare alone or elite alone if an assassin is gonna pop unless you are confident to do so. At level 4, used to be horrible, you get the Abductors. Essentially, at random intervals again, a Maw Sworn swoops down, grabs you, and starts flying up in the skies. This used to instantly kill you as he drops you, and it was so freaking annoying, but currently is pretty tamed. You can fairly easy kill him. He doesn't fly you high enough to insta-kill you, you just have to take some fall damage if you fail to kill him. And with a Venari upgrade, you may simply become immune to his grab with a button press. Otherwise, smash him down so he lets you go. And at level 5 is basically time to get out with immediate extermination. You get a stacking debuff up to 10, slowly stacking, so no panic, and once at 10, you will slowly start dying by the hands of the jailer. Yeah, time to get out. So Eye of the Jailer is not a huge thing to deal with overall. Again, it's mostly to timegate the Maw farm. But overall, the negative effects are not gonna change much how you play the Maw, your gameplay in the Maw, especially after you acquire the Venari upgrades. Outside of the Eye of the Jailer, then you have the zones that are soft-locked, like the Perdition Hold and the Beast Warrens. Well, you do have another small subzone, the River of Souls, with a Kiss Curse debuff of you do more damage, but also take more damage. Some dailies take place here, but they seem to have removed an upgrade dedicated to this, so a little progression dedicated to the River of Souls subzone, so not much else to say, just be aware that there is a small debuff here, so you don't want to stay here for long periods of time unless you are confident to do so. So the Perdition Hold will essentially unlock with a quest at tentative reputation with Venari, which is the second level of the reputation as a whole, so not overly long farm. And it's basically a group-based area. Most enemies here are elites, so don't expect to solo it. I wouldn't advise, especially at the start of Shadowlands. This will also open up a new weekly quest on top of your 2 original ones, granting tons of Stygia and rep, more rares, new dailies, etc. The other area is the Beast Warrens, unlocks at the ambivalent level, the level of reputation after tentative, also opening up a new weekly, dailies, rares, and etc. But, big but here, this will also have a zone-wide event, like the Wrath of the Jailer event called the Hunt, which is also the weekly quest here, coincidentally. And the Hunt will involve stopping this ritual with some Maw Sworn and eventually fighting this big death bear, which is actually a really cool fight that leads you into a cave, and it's been the coolest part of the mod that I did, even though that the boss is pretty easy. It needs a group of 5, but I did it with just me and a tank. But it's from this bear right here, it's from this weekly quest, it's from this boss where you may get a mount usable in the Maw called the Maw Sworn Soul Hunter at a random drop chance. However, there's yet another mount usable in a Maw, and it's found in Torghast once you complete the layer 8 of the Twisting Corridors, which is the highest difficulty level of Torghast on the already named challenged mode of Torghast, the Twisting Corridors. So yeah, quite tough, and you won't be able to get it at the start, it's gonna take you a while, but it's a sure thing that you get it at layer 8. So you have one mount, pretty random, but of easy access, at least until you unlock the Beast Warrens, which is going to take you a couple of weeks, and another one which is tough but no RNG. So if you hate the premise of no mount, even if there's tons of aids around with the upgrades in the Maw, like the grapple and the teleports and the temporary mounts, these are 2 lights at the end of the tunnel, and I imagine it will feel pretty good to get and finally be able to freely mount in the Maw. So yeah, that's how the progression of the zone is gonna work out. And overall, that's what you do in the Maw. You're gonna do weeklies, you're gonna do the dailies, which are super simple bare bones quests, kill rares, do the events, progress with Venari, and enter the zone, and farm Stygia for upgrades, maybe for the gem slots and the conduit tokens. Take in mind the Eye of the Jailer and all the different ways to maneuver around the zone with the no mount situation, and also take in mind what type of player you are and if it's worth for you to do it every day or not. If you have the privilege of not doing every day, would help a ton, because you're definitely gonna burn out if you do the Maw every day, especially after those weeklies, because doing it without the weeklies, it feels very grindy, okay? And yeah, that's about it. If you're wondering about how alts will deal with the Maw, there doesn't seem to be any catch-up, but I guess there's no need unless you want all of your alts to be in tip-top shape with gem slots. If so, that's going to be a little bit painful. Alright guys, so that covers the Maw guide. Hope it helps some of you, and as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Well, I'll see you all in the Shadowlands.